you represent Ms. Duncan.
Correct.
We're on the record, and this was passed from the last court date, which was 2/4, to today on a motion for contempt.
That's correct, Judge.
Your Honor, I would like to address the court if possible.
Right. And Mr. Wilson, you don't have an attorney, correct?
No, but I would like to address the court if
You're on
possible.
mute, Mr. Wilson.
I don't have an attorney, but if possible, I would like to address the court.
Well, sure, you can represent yourself. I just wanted to make sure we're not waiting on an attorney.
No, we're not waiting on an attorney, but when you get a chance, I would like to address the court if you would allow me.
Yeah, you get your opportunity to speak, absolutely. That's what hearings are for, so yeah. So this was a motion filed February 3rd when the temporary order was still in place prior to the hearing of prior to the petition being heard. At the last court date, the petition was, or the temporary order was signed as a permanent or a 3-year IPO, but the allegations are for violation of the temporary order. And Mr. Wilson, do you have a copy of their motion for contempt?
I have a copy of the motion of contempt, but the reason I was asking to...
Well, no, that's all I needed to know. Hold on. So, yeah, that's all I needed to know. So, I'm happy to have this hearing, but I want to first say there will be separation of witnesses. Also, since Mr. Wilson isn't represented by an attorney, I have the obligation to make sure that that I help him a little bit.
I don't want
say litigant. So separation of witnesses. Also, I have read through the motion myself. I've obviously not made any conclusions. I've just read it to see what the allegations were. Some of these allegations are protected by the First Amendment. So the language that is not permitted by the temporary order and by the IPO are direct comments to Ms. Duncan, any direct contact with Ms. Duncan, any third party, anything that was relayed to her about third party from Mr. Wilson. So I won't be hearing any allegations of him just talking about her. I want to make sure I'm real clear. Mr. Skeens, do you understand my ruling?
Yes, Judge. Do I have permission to speak for the record for a second?
Yes.
Our theory on this is that, this is a situation where Mr. Wilson obviously knew that Ms. Duncan would be listening. And it's our opinion that him talking to her, the fact that he is broadcasting...
Okay, hold on, Mr. Skeens, I'm going to stop you right there. I've said, if he is talking to her in any form, that is prohibited. If he is talking about her, that's not prohibited.
Fair enough, Judge.
Because that's protected by the First Amendment, in my opinion. Obviously, you can appeal me and figure that out, but that's my ruling. Do you have a question? So is there anything else you need to say about that?
No, I don't think so at this time. If it comes up that I run afoul of that, then I'll make my arguments for the record at that time. But I think right now I understand your ruling.
Can I address the court?
Make a note. Hold on, Mr. Wilson, just 1 second. I need to make note of this. So testimony which is about petitioner, I'm considering protected by First Amendment and won't be heard. Testimony, where defendant spoke about. Okay. Mr. Wilson, yes, sir.
Yes, I wanted to address the court because I want to possibly save you some time.
Okay.
This whole situation that's going on that you see before you, as far as the motion for contempt, it's all based off the back of my Facebook Live. Everything that I've read has taken place in my Facebook. I'm not friends with Miss Amber Duncan at all on Facebook, and when I talk, I'm talking to my followers and the people that follows my show. I have a show on Facebook, and this whole accusation and everything that's in this motion for contempt, along with the last case as far as stalking, the evidence comes from my Facebook, which I'm not talking to her directly at all. I'm talking to my followers. So I would
Well,
ask,
hang on one second. So that would be an argument that you would make at the end, okay?
it's not an argument, Judge, because it's right in front of you. This is all my Facebook. This is not an argument. This is a fact.
Okay, I'm happy to hear the facts. So with that I believe is an argument, and that you're trying to, which is fine, and I will hear it at the end. And you can also give me facts. So are you not denying what? So let me ask you this: are you admitting that all of this is true and accurate?
No.
And you just want to argue?
No, I'm not. I'm not admitting that any of it is true.
Okay, so you're denying the allegations in here about your speech and talking to her, even though you're saying it's to your followers.
No.
You're denying all that.
What I'm trying to address is what you just stated. You just stated that the court would not be hearing anything that is with me not directly speaking to Miss Duncan. What I'm trying to tell you is everything that's in this motion is me not speaking to her directly. I was not ever speaking to her.
I think that's a factual decision I need to make. So we're going to go forward with this. So, Mr. Skeens,
Yes, Judge.
you want to call your first witness?
I am. Yeah, I would like to call Mr. David Goad as my first witness, please.
Okay, let me.
What is the name, Judge? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I believe it is. You said it's pronounced David.
I believe so, Judge.
Can we get a spelling on that?
Yeah, Goad. Mr. Goad, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. And it is pronounced David?
That is correct.
Okay. So, witness 1. And that's Goad.
That is correct, ma'am.
All right. If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. If you'll answer questions for Mr. Skeens, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, real quick before I get started, can I ask the court to take judicial notice that Mr. Wilson was served with the emergency IPO on December 5th?
Yes, if it's in the file. Yes, that is a court document that I believe I can take judicial notice of, and it does say served 12/5 at 12:30 a.m.
No.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Goad, could you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes, my name is David Goad. I am the CEO of Gollum Security Services LLC here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay. And can you tell me about your involvement in this case?
I was brought on early on a prior issue with Ms. Duncan, and then I've been serving as security counsel for quite some time, Ms. Duncan.
Okay. So you and your company provide security services for her?
Yes, sir.
And how, you said that you've been on the previous time. For how long have you been serving for Ms. As security counsel for Ms. Duncan?
Since roughly June of last year, sir.
Okay. So,
I'm sorry, June of 2020?
That is correct. Sorry about that, ma'am.
Thank you.
so am I correct in saying, Mr. Goad, that you have been there for the entirety of this issue with Mr. Wilson?
Most definitely.
Okay.
And I am just going to say one thing to preface this. If you would keep the testimony to issues that happened, anything that happened following 12/5. I don't need anything before that.
Understood.
Okay.
Um,
12-5 or later, I should say.
Mr. Coe, can you describe your responsibilities as
Right.
security counsel for Ms. Duncan?
I specialize in threat assessment as well as personal protection on details.
Hold on one second. Just 1 second, Mr.
Yeah.
J. Mr. Wilson, is there someone in there with you?
No, there's no one in here.
Who are you motioning to?
It doesn't matter. There's no one in here. I answered your question. No one's in here, Judge. Am I not allowed to move my fingers?
Don't get smart with me.
I'm not getting smart with you, Judge.
So, sir, it looked like you were...
Am I not allowed to move my fingers, Judge? If I'm not allowed to move my fingers, I'll sit like a mannequin all day long. If you want
Why
me,
don't you sit like a mannequin?
no, I'll exercise my right to move because that's not illegal.
Sir, listen to me. I just needed to know if there was someone...
And I told you no.
Sir, watch your tone.
I don't have a tone, Judge. This is actually how I talk.
Well, I suggest you temper that because we're in court.
Judge,
Even though you're in that room, I can hold you in contempt.
Judge, I'm
So
answering your
watch
questions.
Your tone.
Judge, if you ask me a
And I
question,
suggest
I'm going to
you
answer it.
stop talking at this point.
You asked me a question, Judge. I answered it.
Stop. I said stop.
You asked me a question.
Is this going to be a battle of who gets to have the last word, Mr. Wilson? Because it will be me.
You asked me a question, Judge.
I suggest you stop talking. So, Mr. Skeens, please continue.
I'm sorry, Mr. Goad. Can you, one more time, I think, can you describe your responsibilities as head of security counsel for Ms. Duncan?
Yes, I specialize in threat assessment as well as personal executive protection details. In that aspect, I've also dealt with checking on surveillance for the home, residences, properties, etc.
Okay. And what is your ultimate goal?
My main job is simply to make sure that everyone stays as safe as possible, sir.
Okay. With that in mind, have you watched any videos published online by Mr. Wilson containing Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Have any of those videos been about or been directed towards Ms. Amber Duncan?
A great many of them, sir.
Okay. When did those videos begin to be published? Do you remember?
Prior to the December 5th.
Okay. So prior to December 5th, they were still being published on December 5th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And since December 5th, has Mr. Wilson stopped publishing those videos?
Negative, sir.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
can you show me your room, please?
Sure can. This is absurd.
other way.
What do you want to see? What do you want to see? You want to walk through the whole house? No, I'll actually walk you through the whole house because obviously I would actually like to ask you, Judge, is there any way we can get a change of venue? Because obviously you are you're accusing me of some things that are just not true, and I can't get a fair trial with you. This is the second time that I've been in your courtroom, and you are accusing me of things. So, do you see anything, Judge? Would you want to look behind the couch? Did you want to look behind the couch?
Mr. Wilson, listen to me.
I'm trying to listen to you, but I'm trying to do what you asked me to do.
It seemed to me that you were writing notes and making comments to someone in your room.
Well, obviously your judgment is off.
So I was confirming. I don't have you all in my courtroom because I can't because of COVID. So I needed to confirm that you don't have anybody in there.
There's no one in here. Is there any other place you would like to look before you interrupt again?
That's all I need.
You sure?
Go ahead, Mr. Skeens.
I'll just walk around like this while he's testifying.
I'm satisfied. You can have a seat. If you are interested in listening to the testimony, I suggest you have a seat.
Well, I was sitting right here taking notes from the testimony and got interrupted by you. I was quiet like you asked me to be.
Mr. Skeens, go ahead.
This is absurd.
ask you this first. How many videos published by Mr. Wilson on Facebook or Instagram do you watch every day?
If there is one that comes out, to make sure that my client's name has not been used, I've watched every single one.
Okay. How many is that in your estimation?
Estimation minimum of 3 videos per day, every day, 7 days a week, minus, I can think of maybe 3 days where he has been signed.
And that's just since December 5th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do all of these videos have to deal with Ms. Duncan?
Negative. There is a few that are not.
Mr. Skeens, can you limit your questioning to any that directly would be a violation that your allegations are related to?
Absolutely, Judge. Mr. Goad, do these videos are broadcast? I'm just trying to make sure that we understand. These videos are broadcast for all of Mr. Wilson's followers on Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In these videos, does Mr. Wilson ever direct statements directly towards Ms. Dickerson as if she were in the room with him or watching the video?
He has given connotations, telling Miss.
Can I object, Your Honor? Can I object, please? Objection.
What's the basis for your objections?
My objection, who are we talking about? Are we talking about Amber Duncan or are we talking about Summer Dickerson?
Sir, you know what? That's a question, and it's not a basis for an objection. So you can ask that question.
I'm in court because it's Amber Duncan, and I just heard the name Summer Dickerson.
All right, Mr. Skeens, do you want to clear that up with your questions, please?
Sure. Mr. Goad, does Amber Duncan go by another name?
Affirmative, sir.
What's her other name?
Summer Dickerson, sir.
Okay, so Summer Dickerson and Amber Duncan are the same person.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Throughout the course of these videos that Mr. Wilson publishes, does he ever direct comments specifically towards Amber Duncan or Summer Dickerson as if she were in the room or as if she were watching the video?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Has he done that at all since as the court has taken judicial notice of, the service of his emergency interpersonal protective order on December 5th?
More than once, sir.
Objection.
What's the basis for your objection, sir?
I mean, this is grossly misleading. Is he gonna give a testimony, or is Mr. Schemes going to direct him directly to what he wants him to say, which is grossly misleading?
So I think he's objecting that you are leading your witness. So, Mr. Schemes, please refrain from leading your witness.
Okay. Mr. Goad, has Mr. Wilson in these videos that you've watched since December 5th directed any threats specifically towards Amber Duncan or Summer Dickerson? I'll strike that question, Judge. Has Mr. Wilson, since December 5th, directed these statements towards Summer Dickerson / Amber Duncan? And if I think you already answered that, but since he has, do you recall anything specific that he said in those videos since December 5th?
Further, sir. Besides the usual, one of his most common threats is telling Miss Duncan to go onto the bridge, up taller buildings, so forth, and jump off.
Objection.
What's your objection, Mr. Wilson?
My objection, because they're referring to me to a motto that's on my show that refers to the lyric of a song. When I refer to
Mr. Wilson, hold on. That's not a good objection. Just because you don't like the testimony doesn't mean you can object to it.
Well,
so you can clear that up when you testify. So overruled. Mr. Schemes?
I'll ask you again, Mr. Goad. Do you remember anything specific that Mr. Wilson has directed towards Amber Duncan or Summer Dickerson in these videos that you've watched?
Affirmative. aside from the previous one, what's my notes here?
No, I'd ask you to restate the one that you said before when you were interrupted.
Oh, of course. He has told her to put on headphones, go onto the bridge and or building and or balcony, depending on which video in context. Listen to the artist crisscross and jump.
Okay. So it's your testimony that he has said this specifically to her as if she were there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Gold, would you recognize some examples of those videos that you have watched from between December 5th and now?
Yes, sir.
I got objection, Your Honor.
What are you objecting to?
I'm objecting to the evidence that's been submitted. Mr. Schemes was supposed to send me the evidence that's being used 3 days before trial. That is the rules. I haven't been, none of this evidence.
Okay, just a second. Mr. Schemes, did you send any of this evidence to Mr. Wilson?
All of this evidence has been provided to Mr. Wilson, Judge.
And how did you do that? By email,
I sent him an email, Judge, like we talked about in our first hearing. I directed him to a link to a Dropbox that contained all of these videos.
That's false, Your Honor. That's false. Mr. Schemes sent me an email, Your Honor, stating that that the evidence that was being used today in the courtroom for contempt of court was in a Dropbox. The last piece of video that I've gotten from Mr. Schemes was for our last court date. Mr. Schemes has not submitted any evidence that should be used that's being used in this courtroom today. I haven't received anything in 1 month.
Mr. Wilson, he would have submitted it before the last court date because it was originally scheduled for the last court date.
No, Your
He
Honor.
wouldn't have received anything new.
No, Your Honor. This is a contempt of court hearing. This is not about the last court date. This is for contempt of court. The evidence that he's using for contempt of court.
Hold on 1 second. Wait 1 second. Mr. Schemes, when did you send this to Mr. Wilson? Was it prior to the last court date? Was it?
Yes, Judge. I sent him a link to the Dropbox prior to the last court date.
Which he just acknowledged. Okay, so Mr.
No.
Wilson, Mr. Wilson, listen to me. So both of these things were scheduled to be heard last time. I did not hear the contempt motion last time because we had been here for a very long time, and I passed it to today. You would have received it previously. So
What I'm trying to tell you, Your Honor, I'm telling you, I have not received any evidence from Mr. Schemes for contempt of court. The only
objections overruled.
this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You letting him operate with evidence that has not been presented to me.
Stop, please. Mr. Schemes, go ahead.
I mean, this is ridiculous. He's operating with evidence that has not been presented to me.
Mr. Wilson, your turn to talk is done.
I objected, and you're letting him operate with evidence that has not been presented to me.
I will not let you scream over me.
I'm not screaming.
I will not let you control this courtroom.
Your Honor, I use my objection. Your Honor, I use my objection, and according to the Constitution and the rules and regulations of a courtroom, he cannot present evidence.
You can unmute yourself.
Well,
Mr. Schemes?
Judge, I would state for the record,
This
this
is
video
bullshit.
that I am about to show right now was provided to Mr. Wilson prior to the last court date in the Dropbox that we stated before. I do also have 2 videos that fall within the purview of this motion for contempt that were not provided last time, but were provided in a separate email before this hearing.
Well, let's just start with this one first, please.
Okay. I just wanted to make the court aware. I didn't want you to feel like I wasn't
Being truthful. All right, thank you.
objection. I got an objection.
Overruled. Is it the same objection?
No.
Oh, what's your new objection?
My objection is, Judge, you allowed, 4 videos to be submitted last time? So are we basing the evidence off the videos that you allowed to be submitted as evidence? Because you did not allow all 26 videos that was sent to me to be...
This is a new hearing.
Exactly. That's my whole point.
That into consideration.
That's my whole point. This is a new hearing. So what evidence are we working off of?
Go ahead.
Mr. Mr. Go, wait, I'm sorry, I need to do screen share.
Oh, yes. Are you,
Sorry.
you should be allowed to.
Your Honor, are you not going to clear that up for me? I'm not understanding what evidence are we going off of. Are we going off the evidence of an old
We're
case?
about to see, Mr. Wilson, so just a second. Mr. Skeens, go ahead.
How can you submit evidence?
Sorry,
This is
Judge.
crazy.
I hope I do this right, Judge. I've done this before.
This shit's a joke.
Mr. Goad, can you see the video that's on my screen?
Affirmative, sir.
Okay. Do you recognize this video?
I do, sir.
Do you remember when this video was broadcast by Mr. Wilson?
Red shirt in his vehicle. I have to hear the audio to match it up.
Well, it's got a date at the top of it that I haven't changed since you sent it to me. So do you
Okay,
recognize?
I can't read that from.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to make it bigger, Judge. Can we?
December 5th.
Okay. All right. So when you, I assume that there's some sort of screen capture that occurs when Mr. Wilson makes a video, and you immediately timestamp it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I haven't changed the date on this video, so would that lead you to believe that this video is from December 5th?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And Judge, I'm going to fast forward to the pertinent part.
Thank you.
Objection, Judge.
What's your objection, Mr. Wilson?
Because right now the evidence that they are working with is being tampered with. This is tampering with evidence. How can you grasp any type of idea of what's going on in this video if you're going to allow them to edit it by fast forwarding it and getting it to a part that they wanted at? This is tampering with evidence.
So you've watched this. Where would you want them to start?
I haven't watched this, Judge, and I think me and you both should be allowed to watch the whole video. This is tampering with evidence.
It's not tampering with evidence, and Mr. Skeens, it depends on what he asked to be placed into evidence as to what will happen. So,
Your Honor, they're using a video that they're fast forwarding. There's a content. What you don't even understand the contents of. You don't even understand the contents of his video. At the beginning of the video, I can say this is a fairy tale. I can say this is a make-believe story. You're not even allowing the whole video to be played. You don't understand what contents this video is in.
Mr. Wilson, you'll have the opportunity to play the video to show me the context if you are able.
Well, we'll be in court for 2 days straight.
Overruled, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Skeens, where are you beginning it? What's the time on that?
I'm beginning at around minute 15, Judge. It's at 14:58 right now, but it's close to 15.
Minute 15?
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
Y'all remember the dude in the dirt boat? Y'all remember Corny said, I said bang, I said bang. I said damn. I said damn.
Objection.
That shit right
Objection.
there is wicked. Not to mention,
Objection.
I got it on my paperwork.
Hold on.
I got it on my paperwork. She even
What's your objection, Mr.
Your
Wilson?
Honor, they just now referenced someone in the dirt bowl. Nobody in the dirt bowl has anything to do with this case. What are we listening to?
Mr. Wilson, hold your objections to the end.
No, I'm going to use my objections. I'm not going to hold my objection. I'm going to object anytime I want to. I'm not going to hold my objections. If you want to deny them, you deny them.
Just because you don't like the content doesn't mean you get to object to it.
I can object anytime I want to.
So if I have to mute you again, I will.
That's fine. I'm going to object anytime I want to.
Mr. Skeens, go ahead.
neighbors with Breonna Taylor in the house that got popped on Elliott. Wow.
Objection again. Objection again. Objection.
Overruled.
Wow. She thought that paperwork was gonna shut me up. No, sir. Fuck that paperwork and fuck you. And no, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Objection.
No, sir. Not me. No.
Mr. Wilson, what is your objection?
Who are we talking about? Do you even know who I'm talking about? Has there been a name or anything established in this video?
Again, just because you don't like what it says.
I'm asking, who are we talking about? This is a video that has nothing to do with this case. You are allowing video that has nothing to do with this case.
I'm going to mute you if you don't stop talking.
It has nothing to do with this case. This is my objection.
So, we'll listen to
I'm going to keep objecting.
and then you can object for it, but for the interest
I'm gonna
of
keep
evidence,
objecting.
if you believe that's appropriate.
I'm going to keep objecting.
You can unmute yourself when you can stop talking.
No, I'm objecting.
Mr. Skeens, go ahead.
Ain't nothing in the world that can shut God up, bitch. Who the fuck can shut God up, you stupid bitch? I am of God.
Objection again.
Of God.
Objection.
A real descendant
Mr. Skeens, keep going.
of God. A real creature.
Objection.
Put together, well put together.
Objection again.
Himself, bitch. Ain't no motherfucking way that funky ass sure paperwork is gonna shut me up.
Objection.
Got to be out your motherfucking mind if you think you gonna run behind the devils.
Objection.
Rough ass motherfucking devils.
Objection.
The devil is gonna shut God up. Bitch, fuck that order and fuck you. Bitch, I'ma talk it like I talk it. I'ma walk it like I walk it. I'ma say it like I say it. And if you keep on talking all that shit,
Objection.
and I'ma have your ass sit to prison for
Mr.
motherfucking
Skeens, will you rewind that just slightly, please, so I can hear it?
What are you listening to? Do you know what you're listening to, Judge?
Mr. Skeens, will you rewind that, please?
That's what I thought.
Judge.
Okay, go ahead.
keep on talking all that shit, I'ma take you to the courtroom and I'ma have your ass sit to prison for motherfucking murder. Take that and go tell the judge I said that, bitch. Because what you done did, I'm about to go before the judge. The judge is gonna ask what is all this about. And I'ma tell my motherfucking Brianna story under oath
Objection.
in their courtroom. And I ain't abiding by none of their motherfucking justice system. None of it. I don't go by the laws of this motherfucking land. I go by the laws of God. I haven't broke not one law of God. The commandment said, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not commit adultery. And I can keep going down a little bit. Bitch, I ain't broke none of God's laws. Bitch, you done broke every last one of them, you ornery whore. You committed adultery 40 goddamn times in one fucking night.
Objection, 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 objection. What are we listening to?
You sinful bitch. He's on your ass. That's why you got them dicks in your face like Coach Popovich. Because God's on your ass. He's deteriorating your looks. That's why you got to walk around with that makeup all over.
This is ridiculous. Grossly misleading. Objection.
That's why you got to walk around with that makeup taped on, bitch, because you are fake. You are fake. You are deteriorating. See, sin wears away. Sin eats away at your